My friends, it has been said that I like souls. My friends, I like souls. No, friends, I love souls. I love PvE. I love co-op. I love getting invaded. I love duels, 2v2s. I love long drawn out invasions and build diversity. Fights across Lord Ran, in the streets of Yharnam, in cathedrals and archives and frigid outskirts, through Boletaria, on the edge, in the upper ramparts. I love every act of souls that can occur. I love BMing the passive party after destroying their cleric with a Gundir's charge that breaks the standstill of battle. My heart leaps with joy whenever a sunbro is tossed high into the air and cut to pieces by a well-placed Zeander stomp. There is nothing like watching your co-invader Crystal Soulspear both you and the host. And the feeling that comes when a player runs, ring-fapping from his dying gank, only to be mowed down by 3 Aldriches with spears, is such an exquisite feeling. Like when Ornstein and Smo would rip you apart in the glory days of DS1. It moves me deep within my heart to watch a fresh Kevin beating me into submission, nary a thought lost or a shit given. The sight of Bloodborne cooperators being laid to rest by an FRC Loran Darkbeast is an irresistible pleasure of mine, and there is nothing more arousing than the sounds made by a player beating their first boss after numerous failed attempts. When a band of pitiful gankers makes their final stand with nothing but bombs and throwing knives, only to have their host sandwiched by 2 paired door grey shields. I'm in ecstasy. I love it when my team is ravaged by lore builds and G9 clones. I love to be squashed under the heel of Freed or Dancer as I'm making a fresh invader. The humiliation as I watch the loading screen, knowing that I must get good resonates. Nerds, all I ask is for the fights to be so grand as to make B-Team feel as appreciated as the main dev team. Nerds, I ask you as fellow brothers and sisters in arms, what is it you really want? Do you wish for further fun as I do? Do you wish for a merciless, bloody fight? A fight whose fury is built with iron and lightning and fire? Do you ask for fights to sweep in like a tempest, leaving not even game journalists to scavenge one ill-made review of Elden Ring? Well, my friends, you've come to the right place. Howdy, nerds. A bit theatrical, I know. But the point stands, I am a old fogey. I come from the days of Demon Souls, not the remake, the original. And I have played since then. I have dueled, I have tryharded, I have invaded, I've done Old Monk, I have done Mirror Knight, Squiring, I have done Spears of the Church, I've co-oped, I've died, I've done New Game Plus 100 DS3. I have played this game to my heart's content, and I still play it these days. Not because I look forward to winning. Lord knows my glory days are long behind me, but because I have a certain mindset when it comes to these types of games. I was talking with a friend the other day, who's a League of Legends player, and he kind of has a similar perspective when it comes to his game. As League of Legends has arguably the most toxic community, he finds solace in little moments of activity that he can have outside of his friend group, where it's open voice chat and He sent me some excerpts, and I must say, yeah, my jaw dropped. A lot of racial slurs, a lot of shit talking, and a lot of people just muting their chat because they don't want to lose. They just want to win. And he, on the other hand, has the opinion that it's okay if you take a loss. It's more about just enjoying the game. And that resonates with me. I've played these games for a while, and I have played with the most meta of builds, and nowadays I play with the most suboptimal. And arguably my win-loss ratio has, well, gone down horribly. But that hasn't stopped me in the slightest. I can take a loss. I'm okay with losing a fight if it means that I can have a more enjoyable experience overall. Take, for example, this fight that we've got on the rooftops in the arena. This was done by JM Lee for a stream. I think it was a birthday stream for Stray Curtis, and he came out of retirement from DS3 just for a little bit, just to enjoy a little bit of arena with us. And you can obviously see that there's some people running around Estes Cancel with some very meta setups. All these people are from chat, and most of whom are streamers themselves. We've got Mr. Bean Bottler, the Pyro is Dingaling, who now goes by I'm Just a Filthy Tryhard. Ice Knight, Ice Clyde is Jamley herself. And I believe there's Ben Butler, who's Bean Bottler, and Almost a True Monarch, who I can't quite make out what their name is. Either way, these are all streamers, and we're all here for a little bit of fun. And as you can see, like, many people are bringing in different playstyles. I'm Just a Filthy Tryhard, or Ding, is bringing a S-Stock Pyro, mostly playing around with CBV, Fire Surge, and S-Stock into Black Flame. We have Stray Curtis bring his signature setup, his Faith build with a Lightning Rapier and I think a Reclub. We got JM Lee mimicking Stray Curtis' style with Man Serpent, I believe on a Dark build at 90. We've got Almost a True Monarch who's running around with, I think, the old balance setup that Narcolept popularized, using Gales and Nestock. And here's me, running around with my SL90 Farron Hunter. Now, as you can see, I've got a fair bit of build diversity going on. I've got Soulstream, I've got Snap Freeze, and it's honestly rather funky, because I love playing around with weird stuff these days. And that has kinda set the standard for my playstyle. I like using suboptimal stuff, because, as I said before, I've played with all the meta stuff. So I want to see what I can get away with. I want to try weird combos. I want to do weird and funky shit. And that has kept me playing longer than most Souls players. Because I don't mind losing. I don't mind learning new stuff. It doesn't have to be the most meta, the most optimal. It's enjoyable for me to take a step back and just appreciate the fights that I'm having. And I suppose that's the reason why I decided to make this video. Because I've been speaking to other members of the Souls community who are getting burnt out. Mostly because they're running into players who will call their playstyle cockroach style. So it normally means that they all run the exact same build, they all do the exact same, and then when they're close to death, either their latency or the quick step spam or their teammate comes and saves them. Usually this is done by gankers, but sometimes you'll see it from invaders. I have killed my fair share of invaders from SL15 to SL300 who have decided to run away, refill, Estes cancel, Estes refill, all the sad jazz. And I don't mind long fights, I don't. But when a majority of it turns into just a matter of whiff punish and run away, then it's not really fun for me. I don't exactly pull out any of the meta glitches that most will use, because I play every SL, and I feel like if I bring Estus Cancel down to SL15, then, well, that makes me a bit of a scumfuck. And honestly, it just doesn't improve my playstyle. I would rather focus more on my spacing than everything that goes with being a good player these days. Now, why do I do this? Why do I handicap myself? To put it bluntly, I don't get enjoyment from when I've got everything at my advantage. Like, I used to run around with a strength build, a meta dex build, and I'm very old in the Souls community, so I even have played around with the Karthus Curve Sword meta, back when it was a fast curve sword, and using Karthus Rouge. And that was, yeah, the fights were just really quick. And honestly, I didn't get much enjoyment from them, and to this day I can't really play around with PK too much, because it's essentially the same thing, just this time you've got a weapon art that can do frost. I don't mind just punishing myself to try and make it a little bit more interesting, because I have been playing this game longer than most. So I want that challenge still. I'm essentially chasing that high that I have gotten from the early days of Demon Souls, just beating a player, but this time I've converted it into, well, beating myself up, so to speak. If players cannot provide the challenge I want, then I can provide the challenge that I want at my own discretion. For example, at SL63, I have a build at +7, and that one I use to go into Swamp and post-Bonif. It's a weird build. It's a night starter, which, you know, is pretty common for that SL. But I run it with 25 Faith, and I use weapons with innate bleed, and some weapons infused with bleed. So I've got a bit of lightning and a bit of bleed, and I use Dorothy's Gnawing. And I love the build, because not only do I have a good means of DPS, but I also have status that I can use at my discretion too, which you'll see later on. I find that even though I might not have the best DPS, which I would normally have, I can instead just soft cap myself. Make it more enjoyable for the players that I'm fighting without really pulling out anything too damaging. Don't get me wrong, I will be able to poison them and bleed them, but it's more of a challenge, and if they're not canceling the animation on moss clumps, then I can also teach them about punishes in the game. And that's really useful for newer players that are trying to just experience Souls. That it isn't just all about curb stomping, that it can be like a game of chess. And that's what I get out from Souls. I like the strategies that you can use in this game. I love funky invasions. I love having these weird fights because they're memorable to me. I will not remember fighting a boring bonfire duelist that uses the exact same setup that I fought 50 times doing the exact same thing, like Fighter PL style, Bonfire Duelist, parry into epic riposte. Don't get me wrong, you can parry and riposte to your heart's content, but if that's just all you're going to do in forms of gameplay, then it's not as enjoyable for me. And players like that will end up burning out because they just do the one thing. They press the win button, so to speak. There's a book I've been reading as of late. I'd cite it, but then it becomes this whole sponsor thing, so I'm not going to cite it. Essentially, it was talking about a monk who was attempting to learn this big scripture, and he wanted to just memorize it simply for the sake of being able to brag that he memorized this entire scripture. But one of the older monks came up to him and he said, well, would you rather... The reason why you're having such difficulties with it is because you're just looking for the end result. You're not looking to incentivize the journey. Do you just want to be able to cite the scripture, or do you want to have the experience of memorizing it? The experience of learning and making mistakes. And I feel like that kind of resonates with me in both in my life and how I game. I have recently taken on a second job, and I'm working at a factory. It's a blue-collar job, as compared to my medtech job, which is white-collar. Now, with the blue-collar job, I work on machines, and we get a product that comes off the machine, and we have to either cut it, trim it, put a sticker on it, etc. And we have to do it in a nice, fast environment, because then another piece is just going to come off. It's automatic. So you have to kind of have a rhythm for it. And when I was just learning the job, I was having difficulties at first because, you know, you got to get used to doing it a specific way. Otherwise, if you make a bad product, then you will just keep on making a bad product. If you forget to do a step, then you'll just keep on forgetting to do a step. So I just wanted to essentially learn these machines. But after when I had learned like a third machine, after like a while, I started to just appreciate learning how to get better at each one. Because they're long shifts. It's about 12 hours. So finding stuff to do is just essentially part of the dilemma. Because you're just going to be doing the same thing over and over again. So I started to incentivize learning as opposed to making this perfect product, and I found that I enjoyed it more. I did not get burnt out because we worked continental shift. So we worked 2 days, off 2 days, on 2 days, off 2 days, on 3 days, off 2 days, off 3 days, so on and so forth. And that has made me a better worker, and I have started to adapt that kind of mindset for day-to-day life. Do I want to learn on how to be this good woodworker, or do I want the experience of learning to be a good woodworker, taking a look at what I make along the way, and then getting better? Same could be said for artists. Nobody comes out with this amazing piece of work as their just first piece. They have to slowly build it up. And that kind of works with gaming too. Nobody will be this amazing player to begin with. It's kind of the process of, I suppose, what Amish does. This whole journey of getting good. And I'll link I Am Amish, even though most people know him. I will link him in the description. His whole idea is the process of getting good, not how to get good. 20 tips that you can do in Dark Souls 3 to improve your gameplay. He could have a video like that out there, but it's a process of slowly but surely learning the game, learning tips and tricks, and just having the experience of getting good that I really appreciate. And that kind of reflects my hobbyist mentality when it comes to souls. I appreciate that. However, these days, there are some people, and you are about to see them, who want to take the shortcuts. They do not want the process of getting good. They just want the end result. So here I am on the pre-mentioned build. This is SL63 plus 7, and we are about to run into a nasty descaled phantom, or an unskilled phantom, depending on whichever terminology you'd like. So we had fought him previously, and I already know what to expect. And as you can see, he's using a dark infused straight sword. My poison Lucerne is doing nothing, and he just wants to parry riposte me to death with a chaos weapon. And I tried to do a little trick here, where I would normally have my back directly in that corner, but instead he got the plunge on me and just essentially killed me in one shot. He just wanted to press that win button. He just wanted the satisfaction of winning and beating someone. And if you guys stop by my streams, you'll see plenty of people like that. I invade at every SL, so I find survivalists with like 15 Estus and SL15. In fact, I fought one such one the other day. It was Black Crystalling Blues out because he wanted the satisfaction of just beating me by himself with all of his advantage. However, in the process of Black Crystalling some Blues out, I had a member of chat come in and co-invade. Now, my SL15 build that I tend to stream and invade on is very honest. Doesn't really use any twink weapons, just has Prisoner's Chain and all the rings that I had to go through the game with, but uses all weapons and armor that you can get from Highwall. And we were beating this guy who was spamming around with Dark Hand, Poison, etc. And it was really satisfying. And then he started running, and he ran to his fog wall. And then I was told from a member of my chat that this guy has sent like over 5 pages of hate mail to him for beating him, or upon beating him. And that's kind of sad. And I've run into similar people that do that type of stuff at meta, who will summon unskilled phantoms and will DC the moment they start losing because they just want to press the win button. They want the satisfaction of beating someone. They don't want the satisfaction of learning on how to get better. They just want to impose themselves as the best. The journey of getting good is a long journey. And odds are a lot of us are going to have to retake that journey when Elden Ring pops in February. It's funny, it's a girlfriend's anniversary, so I'll be missing it day one. That said, I will enjoy Elden Ring, and I will enjoy getting good, but a lot of you people will have it a bit harder because you will lose a lot. It will be challenging to you. Odds are it'll be more challenging than the other games because they added a jump button. The invasions apparently only allow one player in as like a red spirit. It will be difficult. A lot of you guys will turn to YouTube guides or watching your favorite streamers to learn how to get better. But to you I say, take the loss. Watch what you did wrong. Appreciate that you are making mistakes, that it's not coming easily. I can assure you, it will get easier. You will have more fun if you take this route. Thank you. And I wish all of y'all good health and a lovely day. Stay safe out there, nerds.